I am coming, coming, coming. I am here. I don't know why I feel the need to sing to you poor people. I apologize. Team Too Much is happening. Hi, everyone. Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I had to think. I normally do the show on Tuesdays, and yesterday I went to the office, had an event after, came home I was going to start the show at 9. I got into the house at like 8:35, did the no, and threw myself on the bed with my outside clothes on to take a 15-minute nap. My alarm didn't go off, and I didn't wake up until after 9, and I just said, F it. Clearly, I'm too tired to do the show. So I am now here on Wednesday. So thank you for those who are joining me on YouTube and those who are joining me on Instagram. You are too kind because you could be doing anything else, but you are here with me. So I am very grateful for that. So I'm going to go straight into the title. Wife duties for maybe husbands. I actually got quite a few laughs and quite a few girl. We need to talk about this when I put this up. So clearly there was a lot of women for whom this resonated with. And it's interesting because, again, I'm now back into the dating phase of my life. And the thing about a breakup, for me at least, and I would suggest it for a lot of you, is I'm very reflective. I will take a look at, okay, so what did you do in that relationship that worked well? What did you do that did not work well? Did you compromise yourself while you were in the relationship? Because my goal is to be better in the next relationship. Because the reality is, no one wants to keep doing this. Like, I don't want to keep dating. Like, I want to be settled. I like settled. I like my life to be settled. I like professionally and personally for my life to be settled. And being single again, this part of my life seems very unsettled. But I've honestly had to truly reflect on, where did I go wrong? Because for me, I always used to say, I am the common denominator in all of my failed relationships. So it's not on me to project onto my ex what happened for us not to work out. It's for me to take a look at myself and say, where did you go wrong? What should you have done differently, or things that you started doing in the beginning that you weren't doing by the end, and why? And so this is what I've been taking my time to do. I'm going to say this. I'm a damn good woman. I can't say that I'm a good wife because I've never experienced myself as a wife. I would think my ex-husband would have said that I was a good wife. That's why it took him so long to divorce me. And he still doesn't know we're divorced, but that's another story for the book. But I would say that I am a good woman. I was raised to be a good woman by good women with the influence of good men. My father was a great man. Rest in peace to my daddy. There'd be some who disagree. I said, you know what? He was a great daddy. Maybe he wasn't a great man to all, but my daddy was a great daddy. And I love him to this day, forever and ever in my heart. And so I had really good role models of what it meant to be a good woman. And I also have really good role models around me of what it means to be a good wife, because I've seen it up close and personal. And personally, I believe I was a good wife to my ex-husband. Now I was a wife, which means there was a ring, and there was a marriage, and there was an I do, and there was a commitment. There are a lot of us being good women to maybe husbands, and stepping in and doing wife duties. And let's be clear, I do not consider wife duties cooking, cleaning, and ironing a man's clothes, right? That's called adulting, right? Because you got to cook, clean, and iron your own clothes, or take them to the dry cleaner, or whatever it may be, right? Like, that's adulting. Like me saying, what I bring to the table is I cook, clean, and I take care of, my man. Like, I'm doing that for myself, right? When you get in a relationship, you just multiply what you're doing. So that's not what I consider wife duties. It's those things that we do that we know we're extending ourselves or overextending ourselves sometimes for someone we love, right? It's the nurturing, it's the supporting, it's the protecting, because as women we also protect our men, right? Like, it's all of these different things that you do when you love someone. We love our children, for those of us who are mothers, or I have a child. I love my child, and so I go over and above for her more than I would for most people in my life. And as women, when we love, for those of us who've truly experienced that love, we sometimes overextend ourselves for maybe husband. Now, do I believe that every stage of a relationship is an audition? I've said that on the show with the ex, and I will say that on the show with myself. I believe dates are auditions so that you can upgrade to be a girlfriend. Being a girlfriend is an audition so you can upgrade to be a fiance, and being a fiance is to be a wife, right? Like, there are stages, and I feel like each stage, it's an audition because nothing is guaranteed. The problem for some of us, me included, is we can blur the line between girlfriend and wife. And we start giving to men, or the man in our life, and he hasn't shown you that you'll ever get a promotion to a wife. And so you pour into him, hoping that you'll get something back. And then you pour so much into him that your well starts running dry, and you become resentful of him because of what you were doing for him, because you weren't actually paying attention to his actions to see if he was returning that. We've all done it. I'm guilty of it. I have a thing where I want the best for the people in my life, friends or otherwise. If you're a part of my life, I want the best for you. And so I do things for people in my life that clearly I wouldn't do for others. And so I go in, and if there is a way for me to help elevate you, if there's a way for me to open a door for you that you want open and I can do that, like, I do that. I go in, I see something, and if I have the tools or the skills or the expertise, I want to fix it. I want to come in and be a fixer. But often, sometimes being a fixer depletes me, because while I'm busy fixing, people are fucking up what I'm fixing, and I still have to fix again. And I'm not realizing it because I'm in the midst of it. And I'm like, this is working, this is working, this is great. Oh my God. But I'm fixing something that people are just fucking up, because realistically, they should be fixing their fucking shit themselves. But I love you, And so I'm going to fix it. And that's the issue. Good night, Ryan. That's the issue when we start depleting ourselves, hoping that if we do enough, that we'll get that upgrade to that another stage of the relationship. And then we don't. Or maybe we do. And then you question, is this what I really want? Because I was so busy pouring in that I didn't stop to realize that you were not doing the same for me. I remember when I got with my ex, and clearly it was during COVID. There was a lot of things. Like when I got with my ex, there were so many things happening in my life at the time, right? I had gotten downgraded from my job in January 2020. I used to be the regional manager of a private educational institution. I made really good money. I ran the entire Eastern Division. I was driving a nice car. I lived in a nice place. Like I was doing the damn thing, right? Worked really hard. I've done the director status. I was a regional manager and overseeing all of this staff and responsible. Like I was doing the damn thing. I deserved it. I worked really hard. And after a little bit over 2 years of giving, I got downsized. And then I remember going, okay, you know what? This is the universe, pivoting me, because that's why I'm like, the universe is pivoting me back. I'm just going to go right into my consulting, redo my consulting business and go at it full force. So I built my website, got my business cards, starting seeing clients. This is like January and February. My website launched. I remember it was a leap year. My website launched on February 29th. I'd gone to this networking event and March hit and COVID. I was actually leaving a client meeting when I heard that we were having a shutdown in Toronto specifically. I said, okay, all right. So the consulting may not go the way I want, because who's paying me $150 an hour for advice, or $100, even if I discount it, right? Like people don't even know if their businesses are going to survive. So I was like, okay, so what do? I end up writing 6 books in 6 months and I publish them. So now I was like, okay, great. I have a residual source of income. So I just was the girl who was keeping busy. And so from April to September, I think it was April to September, April to October, I wrote and published 1 book a month. Then in the midst of that, I started writing another book. But in the midst of that, my dad got COVID and we thought he was going to die. And then he got an infection and then he got dementia. It was like my life was just, there was just so much. And I remember I was dating somebody else before I met my ex. And then he was, promising me this life. This man, let me tell you something. Okay. I'm dating this man before the ex, and this man presented himself as a very well-to-do man. He lived in one of the nicer condos in Toronto, overlooking a major highway. And as we were getting serious, this man was taking me to go view $1 million homes. So he lived in a condo downtown, and he said, okay, I'd like us to move in together. I'm telling you my life. You guys are going to go. I'll put some of this in the book. So he was like, things were, I don't know what it is, guys, but things move quickly with me. So me and him go on a few dates, whatever. We start basically spending a lot of time together. I'm at his house. He was never really at mine. I'm at his house a couple of days out of the week, and then at my house the next days of the week. He said to me, okay, I think we should move forward. I would like to buy a house for you and then have your daughter, my daughter, live in the condo. So if the house is a little on the outskirts, if she's downtown with her friends, she would have a condo. He would clearly keep paying for the condo and then pay for the house for us to live. Even said that he would have my mother come and live because my mother isn't well. So we start shopping for homes. He gets a realtor. We go, the most expensive house we saw was, I think it was $8.5 million. It was gorgeous. We saw a 3,000 square foot penthouse condo that was close to where the Raptors play and the Maple Leafs play. And we saw a couple of homes that were in very well-to-do areas. And it went to the point where this man put an offer into the home. It was me and my daughter's favorite house. It had an elevator. And when I say we're looking at these homes, I mean, we have a realtor going to these homes, going in, looking around. He's asking me, where would you like the bedroom? Where should your mother be? There were separate kitchens. There were, for his office, because again, the way he presented it, he was a real estate developer. He even offered to bring me into the business so I could have a portion of the business if I wanted to, because I didn't have to work if I didn't want to. All of these things are happening. If my daughter was here, she'd be in the background saying, So this man is doing all of this. Hey, Zeet on YouTube, love you too. So this man is doing all of this, puts the offer into the house that I want, shows me the paper before he submits the offer, only for me to get notification that he never told me, but he got arrested for fraud. So I was like, what is my picker off? Because, clearly I didn't choose him. He chose me, but you know what I'm saying? I was like, what the hell? And in Toronto, in order for you to be looking at homes of that value, a lot of the realtors, because they're not going to waste their time, like it's very different showing a $500,000 condo than it is showing an $8.5 million home. And so they pre-qualify you. They do these background, and apparently he had passed all of these background checks. And then one day I'm in my own house at this point. He had gone away, according to him, on a business trip. I was at his house when he was packing. All these things happened. He was like, oh, I don't need you to drive me to the airport. Don't worry, I've got such and such. I don't want to bother you, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, cool, babe. I'll see you when you get back. Only to get somebody to send me an article, which this person was on right now because they actually watched my show, to get sent an article that this man had been arrested for fraud. And thank God, hallelujah, I hadn't been implicated in any of it, but Lord have his mercy. So all of this is happening during like a few months span of all of these things happening in my life. And I just remember when I met the ex, just being like, oh my God, like this was a bit of a breath of fresh air of just everything that had been happening and how my life had been changing and all of that stuff. And I was just like, and I think for a lot of it, I let a bit of my guard down, which was not a bad thing. Like letting our guard down is not a bad thing. And I still don't regret it. Fast forward almost 3 years, I don't regret letting my guard down. However, I will say that I didn't do the normal evaluation that I think I would have. Had I met my ex now, I would have put him through a lot more than I did during the time that I met him. And I remember my friend asking me a question, and I really had to think about it. She said, would the best version of you have dated your ex? And my initial reaction was to immediately say yes. And then I said, hold on. If I'm honest, no. The best version of me would have not dated my ex because I wasn't at my best at all. I was trying to survive during COVID, considering what the world was throwing at all of us and what the world was throwing specifically at me. My father, I thought he was on the verge of death during, like, we thought we were going to lose him during COVID. Hallelujah, thank God he held on for an additional 2 years. But the impact that those years had on me, I definitely was in a different mind space than I would have been today. I don't know if today my ex is handsome and gorgeous and smart and all of those things that he is, and I will not take those things away from him. The 4 kids and the tumultuous home life would have made me pause, because I am not where I was almost 3 years ago when I met him sitting here today. And I tell you, those things make me pause with men. They were making, funny enough, they were making me pause before. So I remember my brother saying to me, like, how? Because I tell my brother about guys that I'm seeing and dating. And I remember him telling him about the ex, and he was like, you don't want no man with kids, much as young kids. Like, we talked about this. You said you wanted a man with older kids, and 2 is your max. And I had all of these different things. He's like, what are you doing telling me about this man with 4 kids? And then, 3 of them are fairly young. Well, they're all young, but 3 are really young. What the fuck are you talking about, right? Did my ex being 6'9" and a former basketball player have to play a role? Fuck yeah. I'd be lying to you if he didn't. I would not have been with my ex if he was 5'8" and regular. I'm be honest. If my ex was just 5'8" and regular, I would not have dated him. Not with all the things that came with him, but he was 6'9" and handsome and smart and a former ball player and smart. Actually, one of the smartest men I know. Like honestly, like, he's super smart. Doesn't make the best decisions, but he's super smart. And so I jumped in to his life wanting to save him from some of the stuff, the trauma that he'd gone through. But I think at the same time, it was me not dealing with the things that I needed to deal with, that I was going through at the same time. And I jumped in and started doing wife duties. And he never asked me. I just jumped in and started doing it. And I was watching a clip the other day on a show. I have to watch the entire show. So there's a clip on a show called Dear Wifey Podcast. And there's a guy, he runs another YouTube station. I believe it's The Black Book. I believe that's what it's called. And he was talking about his mother trauma and the fact that the trauma from his mother has impacted how he dates. And again, it was only a small clip, but he was talking about that trauma. And I remember my shut up, Drew. You're so silly. But I remember him talking about his mother drama, and I remember my ex filling me in on his life and telling me about his childhood. And because he's not here to talk about it, I won't say it, but we have briefly talked about it on the show. But he had a tumultuous childhood. He had a childhood I would not wish, a childhood into teenagehood, into manhood, that I wouldn't wish on anybody. And a part of me felt that I needed to love him through it. Like, I know you didn't get it when you were younger, so I'm going to show you the love that you're supposed to have. And I couldn't love away his past. I couldn't make up for his mother wounds and his trauma and what his ex-wife didn't give him, or what like I couldn't do it, and that was on me. Size 8, Drew. Okay, you're gonna get us matching Gucci flip-flops. If you're for real, size 8, sign me up for matching Gucci flip-flops. But I couldn't love him through it. Thanks, Cass. I need to actually just pull this up on my phone. I keep leaning forward. Thanks, Cass. He needed to heal. And for some reason, I felt that jumping into his life, playing this part in his world, I was going to love him through his trauma. And ladies, we can't show up in a man's life and try to heal him through past hurt. And I tried to do that. I was playing wife to him. I was coming him because his mama hadn't been there the way that he wanted. The wife he chose didn't show up for him the way he wanted. The woman he got pregnant didn't show up for him and was doing things in his life. And so here I come, the fourth romantic relationship in his life. And I was going to make it. I was going to make it good. So I was going to, and the funny thing, I'm not sure I'm not sure I realized that that's what I was doing. As I'm talking it through it with you guys now, like I'm actually having some of these realizations, and I started having some of those realizations when I saw that clip on Dear Wifey podcast. And it was like, I'm really trying to love that man through his pain, and showed up as a wife when I should have just showed up as a girlfriend and let me repeat that. I should have showed up as a girlfriend and made him show me that he deserved me as his wife. Ooh. I didn't allow him to do that. I just showed up in fix it, take the pain away, because I have when I love, guys, I have an all-consuming, almost obsessive, I want to fix you. I want your world to be better. I want to make it better for you. And because I only date Black men, and I know how difficult it is for Black men, I won't lie, I date a certain type of Black men because those are the certain type of Black men that are attracted to me. They tend to be of a certain stature financially. They tend to be a certain stature physically. You know, I've dated a few former athletes, pro, and so their life is very different than the average person. And so once they tell me their story, like I feel like I need to come in there and love them through stuff. And I'm showing up doing wife duties for maybe husbands. And that's not on them. That's not on them. And so it's funny because It's only been 2 months since this relationship ended, and I'm not gonna sit here and act like this has been easy. You know, if you read some of the stuff on my tagline I went from wedding planning to being back on the market. And there's a lot of things that I likely still have to process. And I need to do them because the next man who enters my life deserves the best version of me, not a broken version of me. He deserves the very best version of me. And I'm the common denominator in all of my failed relationships. That's how I started the show. And so it's on me to ensure that I don't make the same mistake. Because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. I can't say that I have had a bad dating track record, because even the things that have not gone well in my life, I have to take accountability and responsibility. You know, you'll find out more about it on the book, but my ex-husband was slinging dick. my ex, but you couldn't tell that man he didn't love me. You could not tell that man you don't love your wife. He would sit in front of you and say, I am the best thing to ever happen to him, while he was out there slinging dick and bringing home babies, plural. You'll learn more in the book. Couldn't tell my ex-husband, though, that he did not love me. He didn't even want to divorce me. He told me, you're the only woman I've ever wanted to marry. Why would I divorce you so you can go marry somebody else? That's stupid. Took me years to officially divorce my ex-husband, because he was avoiding, I don't even know where my ex-husband lives. I actually had to go to court and show them all of the attempts I had made to find him, and they made me do a no-serve. It's basically like a no-serve divorce. So I showed them all of the evidence of, this is my attempts, between emailing private investigators. I was texting. He had an eviction notice because his life went down after me. He got kicked out of the military. All kinds of shit happened after I left. Funny thing, these men, once I leave, but I digress. Talk about that more in the book. But I found an eviction notice. I found this woman's name on the eviction. I searched her, found her phone number. I started reaching out to this woman because I'm like, I'm sorry. You don't know who I am. I don't mean no drama, but I'm trying to find this man. He's my husband. I'm trying to divorce him. The woman's like, oh my God, I didn't even know he was married. Blah, 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 blah. Like, I had to go through a lot for this man to divorce me. And to this day, he does not know that we are officially divorced because I could not find him. Anywho, but I am a good damn woman. However, I think for me, I need to taper to whom I be a good damn woman to. And for many of us, we've got to do that. It doesn't mean that we are horrible women to other men. It just means that, again, we need to show up as girlfriends until those men show us that we deserve to be their wife. And I, in my last relationship, showed up in wife form because I wanted to love him through everything he had been through. I wanted to love him through the hurt of his mother. I wanted to love him through the hurt of anything that had happened to him to get him to where he was when I met him. I wanted to love him through the hurt that was caused by his ex-wife, and you'll learn more about that in the book too. And all of these things, I wanted to love him, so I showed up pouring into him without allowing him to then return that. I just kept pouring and pouring and pouring. So I can't get mad at him because I got depleted. I had to be mad at myself. Right? I had to be mad at myself for doing that. Because the reality is, people, we're wired for self-preservation. Let's just call it what it is. We're wired for self-preservation. We are wired for us. And so if somebody shows up in your life giving to you, you're going to take. That doesn't make you selfish. That doesn't make you anything. That just makes you a freaking human, right? Because we're all wired for self-preservation. And so, ladies, when we show up and we give 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 and we give, and they just take, we got to reflect on, why are we not taking a pause to see if they are going to return what we're giving them? And it's vice versa. Men, if you're giving, and she's just taking, y'all need to be having a conversation about why. Again, I don't give advice to men because I'm not a man, but you that's a conversation to be having, like, why am I allowing this to happen? And so I've had to sit back and reflect on not just my past relationship, but previous relationships, because again, I am the common denominator. I have no one to blame for sitting here single after almost 3 years in a relationship and being a divorcee and previous relationships and the previous engagement that didn't work. I ain't got nobody to blame but myself. Who else am I going to blame? Who else is having these relationships with me? And so I'm taking the time to reflect, and I'm doing it publicly because it's called accountability. You don't change privately. I know I only do things in private. We often don't change privately because we tell ourselves we're fine. We're good. I'm fine. Girl, you good? And then your friends tell you, girl, you good. No, you're good. You're fine. It's not you, girl. You're great. And if we were so great, why are we in these situations? So as much as I know that I'm a good woman, I'm also a woman who needs to reflect on the decisions that she's making. Good question, Cass. If you didn't move to the US, you and Rob wouldn't have lasted as long as you did. You were his common law wife. I was indeed his common law wife. And if the place we lived had recognized that, anyways, I won't go into that. But no, we wouldn't. Like, a long distance relationship wasn't going to be it for us. Like, we wouldn't have been in a long distance relationship. You know, long distance relationships are very difficult. I almost feel like my next relationship is going to be long distance, just because of the men that court me are all on the other side of the border, to be honest. Like, the men that are courting me now are in different states. So I would never, I will say this though, Cass, I will never, unless I have a ring on my finger, I can't make a move at all. And I've already been saying this to the men who have put themselves forward in my life. I can't do that again. It's the starting over, because I don't generally have a backup plan. Like, and that was what my brother was concerned about when I was leaving. It was, what's your backup plan? What's your backup plan? And I was like, well, you know, like, I don't have a backup plan. Like, this is it. Because for me, having a backup plan was, I was already expecting the relationship not to work. And so I was creating a backup plan. And for me, I didn't want to do that because I was gonna give it my all. And that's how I knew how to do that. And so I'm definitely doing things differently. I'm always gonna bring great energy into a relationship, but I'm not going to skip paces. If I'm going to go in as a girlfriend, I'm going to go in as a girlfriend. When I get upgraded to fiance, I'm going to be a fiance. And until I'm official wife, I'm not a wife. My ex used to basically call me his wife, but I wasn't his wife. But we had fallen into this routine because of everything I did for him. The man barely did anything for himself. You know, I did the basics, like take care of the home. I would lotion that man's skin. The man's 6'9". He didn't ever lotion his own skin. Used to have lotion in my purse because if I didn't lotion his skin, we'd be going out and look at his hands. I'm like, sir, I have to lotion his skin. We've been in stores where I've had to find places and pump lotion and lotion his hand. I would put oil in his beard. I learned to cut his hair. He showed me how to cut his hair. I was the one treating his feet. The man was size 15 foot and played basketball for most of life. So I was treating his foot. I would do everything. I made sure his clothes were ironed and made his, lunch if he needed lunch to go to work, and made sure I got up and made him breakfast. And a man barely did anything for himself. He just had to breathe on his own. So we had fallen into this routine, and listen, that would have worked for some women. It didn't work for me because I wanted to be an official wife. I wanted the I do. I wanted the wedding. I wanted the whole thing. I didn't want to play wife. I wanted to be wife. So why am I playing wife when he's maybe my husband? Or he's maybe going to be my husband? And we got close. Again, the planning had started. But you're going to find out some more things in the book and go, girl, what the fuck were you thinking? Again, remember, Fuck Your Feelings, the book coming out next spring. But I was playing. I want to play a play with no husband. I want a husband. I don't want to play. I'm not going to play. Like, I don't want to play being somebody's wife. I want to be somebody's wife. I want to play the role. I want to get the role. I want to be in the role. And so many of us are playing the role. But again, I'm never going to blame him. This is why I do this show. I do this show because it holds me accountable. That's why I do this show. There's an accountability factor that you have when you're talking to other people, and especially in the form that I'm doing. I'm on YouTube right now, and I'm on Instagram. This is the definition of holding yourself accountable. I am literally healing in front of you. I had a very public relationship in front of you. I'm now having a very public breakup in front of you. I'm going to have a very public next relationship likely in front of you. Many of the couple of the guys that I'm talking to right now, I've had that conversation with them. We're like, how do you feel about this? Right? What are their thoughts on it? Right? So for me, thank you. For me, it's one of those things where I am holding myself accountable every week for learning from the missteps that I made that has me on this couch sitting by myself after having a very public relationship with a man that I love to my core. I loved him to my core. And this isn't easy. It's not going to be easy. It's never going to be easy. However, a lot of this is on me. I can't put it on anybody else but me. And so, ladies, I really want us to think about when we're going into these relationships, how we're showing up. I want to be a wife. But until a man shows me that he also wants to be my husband and is deserving of me being his wife, I need to show up in my position and play that role. If I'm girlfriend status, play girlfriend status, because they're different statuses. I know wives. I've been a wife. Being a wife is not the same as being a girlfriend. Ladies, I'm going to tell you, it is very, very different. Yeah. Don't believe me? Just watch. Okay? Being a wife, it's just like when you get a promotion, right? If you are the assistant, your role is not the same as the person you report to. Their role is not the same as the person they report to, and up and up and up, right? Being the girlfriend is not the same as being the fiance, is not the same as being a wife. Being a boyfriend is not the same as being a fiance, is not the same as being a husband. You get upgraded. The responsibilities get more. There are more demands. There are all of these things that happen. When I was, I'm a manager now. I've been a director and a regional manager. As a regional manager and a director, I'm in certain rooms that are very different than the rooms that I'm in as a manager. It's the same thing in a relationship. So I went into my last relationship skipping 2 steps. Yes, I ended up being the fiance, but might as well. You're already playing the role of a wife. Like, I need to just play my fucking position. And that's what I've learned. My next relationship, play your fucking position. Because who I am is going to be good enough. And again, I'm not going to compromise what I want anymore. So, I'm going to show up in a man's life the way he shows up in mine. And not skip the damn steps already playing wife to a maybe husband. And I don't blame the man. I'm never going to blame. This is not the blame the man show. This is called Fuck Your Feelings for a reason. And a lot of it is fucking my own feelings. Because it is easy for me to come here and talk back. The easiest thing for me to do after this breakup would have been to talk shit about my ex. Any of you who have been watching the show and since the breakup, I've not said a bad thing about the man. I've talked some real shit, but I'm not going to talk bad about him because it's not about him. I have to fuck my own feelings. And my own feelings about it is I went into a situation playing wife to a maybe husband, hoping that I could love him through all of the pain and all of his trauma. And my love was going to, and it's not, it wasn't. And so now I'm sitting here by myself, having to reflect on the missteps that I've made, because I will repeat again, Toshiba is the common denominator in all of her failed relationships. And in order for Toshiba to have a sustainable relationship, she's got to figure out what she needs to do better. Because my ultimate goal is to once again be a wife. I've been a wife. I loved my role as a wife, and I want that role back. However, I can't show up just assuming that role. That role has to be given to me. And so the next time you see a ring on this finger, it isn't because I assumed the role. It's because that man just felt like, I can't see myself with anyone else but this woman. And I pray it happens sooner than later. But I know what will happen. Even though there isn't, somebody for everybody, I don't believe that. But I'm a damn good woman. But I need to be a good woman to the right man. So I appreciate you, everyone. I actually have another show I have to do in an hour. I'm very busy. Honestly, I'm exhausted. Do you understand? Like, I miss my Real Housewives of Phoenix life. Like, I am tired. I'm not even gonna pretend. Like, I went from my day job to my consulting to having 30 minutes to get ready for the show, still cooking, gonna finish cooking and run into another show in an hour that's also a radio show that I have to deal with the radio component of that show. And then, listen, I will lie, I miss my Real Housewives of Phoenix life, boy, but I digress. I appreciate all of you. Now, I will say, as much as I miss that, I am happy. I am very happy. Sometimes I don't know if you guys realize, like, I'm being sarcastic a little bit, but I am happy with my current life. My current life is amazing. I am blessed. I have thought about the fact that I got here less than 6 months ago and I had to start over from scratch everything I have in this house, this couch I'm sitting on, this painting behind me, the bookshelf beside me, the TV in front of me, all the stuff in my kitchen, my dining room table. Like I had to buy all of that from scratch. I had to do it all over again. And I look around and I am truly, truly blessed. And my brother used to say, if you pour as much back into yourself as you're pouring into this man, you will see how your life would be. And I took my brother's advice and re-poured everything back into me. And I am blessed. Like I am so blessed. I said it last week. I'm gonna take you guys a little bit more into my life. I have an amazing job. Like my job is amazing. Like the perks I'm getting from this job, like y'all have no idea. Like I am so truly blessed. And I don't take that. Thank you to Chop Team. Started from the bottom, and I truly started from the bottom. When I walked into this house the first day, the condo I live in is brand spanking new. It's actually still under construction. And there's construction with 4 other towers around us. And this place wasn't even clean. Like I had to go clean it from top to bottom. I was taking things off. I was putting up beds. I was doing it. And for the longest time, I was sitting for like a month, almost a month. I was sitting on like lawn chairs. You know, those chairs you take to like Coachella or whatever. Like that's where I was sitting on, watching TV. I had no dining room table. I had like nothing. I had to start over. And for me to even be sitting here today looking around this house, I know how truly blessed I am. So as much as there's parts of my life that I miss, I see the power of me and what I can do when I have to. You know what I'm saying? Like when my backup is against the wall, I will get some shit done. And that's what I do for my man. However, I do need to tame that part of me because again, I can't be just giving wife duties to maybe husbands. And that's what I've learned from my previous relationship. So the next man who is my husband, he's going to get so much. He's going to get a wife that is resilient, a wife that is supportive and patient and kind and loving and all of those things that our Black men need. But he's getting that from me as a wife, not a girlfriend skipping a few steps in her roles. Anyways, I love you all. I gotta go eat dinner before. Oh, look at my arms. Look at this. Oh, shit. 43. What? Y'all, I need to stop. But I appreciate you all. I will see those of you who are not following my other show. Please follow Not Your Typical Girl Talk on Instagram and on YouTube. And please, if you are on Instagram, please go on the YouTube show and subscribe. A Girl's Trying to Get Monetized. And if you're on YouTube, please come on Instagram and follow. I appreciate you all. Love you all. Gotta go finish dinner. See you next week.